Should I 26F leave my fiancé 29M? Too long did not read. Found out my partner of nearly 7 years had been lying and stealing from me. Do I give them another chance? And #X200B. Oh boy, where do I start with this? This is my first time posting here, but I'm feeling really stuck and need some outside opinions. Also not sure if it's worth mentioning, this is my first and only relationship I've been in. So me and my partner have been together for 7 years this October, and we got together really quickly. We started going out with 2 weeks of meeting each other, and at 2 months since meeting we ended up moving in together due to circumstances at the time. To start off with, everything was amazing. I had been going through a really rough, dark time, edge of suicide, so to finally find someone I got along with so well and seemed to always be there for me, it was like a blessing. Life had started anew for me, as cheesy as that is. Looking back at now, I should have seen the red flags when we started living together. I didn't want to think anything along the lines at the time. I had someone that I could share my interests and could express myself to. He even helped me get therapy for the state I was in at the time. We worked hard together to make things work at the time. He helped me get a job and we shared the housework. I would even get up super early in the morning to make him a lunch to take to work, uni with him, as he was having to drive a lot at the time. He often told me these different health problems he had, and he gave me a friend's number who I spoke to, who confirmed all this, and wanting to be the best partner I could be, I wanted to whatever I could to help. This however resulted in me doing a lot of things over the following years that I have not been comfortable with. Over time I became more and more that the things I was doing were not to help with any health issues but were actually his fetishes and fantasies. Things always worked out to be in his favor, but of course, this was all coincidental. I couldn't ever go anywhere without him. If I ever made plans to go out or see anyone, he would have a day where his health issues would play up and I would have to stay home to look after him. Or if I was already out, I'd get messages he was unwell, and the friend would be messaging me he needs me home. I understand these things can't be helped, but it was every single time that this would happen. It got to the point I never planned anything anymore. I didn't talk to anyone, friends or family. There was this one Mother's Day where obviously I went to spend the day with my mum. I was getting messages all day that his mum had sent him horrible messages and he was struggling and he was losing his mind and was out lost in a field hanging out of trees. In the end I had to cut the day short and go home. My mum wasn't happy. In fact, she got angry with me on several occasions that I was cutting her out of my life, and she was hurt. I also had to cut down on the things that I had liked over the years. Where we do have common interests, we also had some that clashed. Anything I had that he didn't like ended up getting thrown out, or I had to keep boxed away. I like my gore and horror, which he doesn't. Fair enough, I get that. But to come home and find out he had thrown some of my stuff out because he didn't like it? That hurt. The one that hurt the most was this plush I had made. When I went through my previous dark phase, this plush had meant everything to me and had gone everywhere with me. It was a character I had made years prior that I held dearly. It seems childish now, but at the time it meant the word to me. Well, he didn't like this plush or this character for some reason. So between him and now the 2 friends I had messaging me, I ended up having to throw it out and all the things related to the character. This was 3 years into the relationship, but even now this hurts me so much. There were things that he had that I didn't take to or wasn't too keen on. On top of all the bondage stuff that kept turning up, he also started to collect things he liked, plushies, figures, etc. He would keep all the plushies up on the bed and make me say good night to each one, knowing that the single one I had and cherished was now gone. He claimed his friend was buying all this stuff for him as well. Apparently he needed all of this stuff because of his health issues. He was always so stressed, and living his fantasies and having all these possessions helped ease the stress and keep the health problems at bay. The friends would message me that if I didn't do these things that he could end up really ill, end up in hospital, or could even die. Whenever he was going through a bad spout, I blamed myself so much because I was struggling to do what he needed and I couldn't push myself enough, and it was all my fault he was getting so ill. It was at this 3-year mark that I had originally tried to sit down with him and say things weren't working out. I couldn't keep doing the things he wanted, needed, and I wished he could go find someone that could, because there are so many people out there that would be up for all this kind of stuff. He of course would get upset that he loved me and only me, and he wouldn't be able to go on if I left. The friends would message me angrily saying how could I be so ungrateful, they've never known someone to love someone as much as he loves me. He would do anything for me and he's the nicest guy they've ever known. I was then getting stories of all these ways he would killing himself. Driving into a fuel station, off a cliff, gas himself in the car. I was so scared I would kill him if I left, so I stayed. Soon after this point he proposed to me, and hoping that things would eventually get easier I said yes. I did love him still. After all, I enjoyed being with him, we had good moments still. I was so tired at this point though. I was working 60+ hours a week and coming home to his needs whilst trying to not lose myself. All my pay was going to his account to try cover bills. He covered all the financial stuff and he always said we were tight on money, that if he could give any back he would, but never did. It hurt when he kept receiving stuff in the post, but these were gifts from friends and so not my business. I had had a spoilt childhood, I had a lot growing up, whereas he told me he had had a rough childhood, so I saw this as his making up for what he missed out on. We eventually moved again, away from any family or anyone we knew. It was going to be a new start for both of us. I soon got another job. I hadn't been there long and my new colleagues were already saying something didn't right, and that he didn't respect me. I always chalked it up that I really didn't want to become that stereotypical female partner that would nag and get upset if things weren't done her way. I just wanted to do my part to make the relationship as equal as I could, so I did sacrifice a lot of my things. I'm sure he did just as well. Nothing had eased off at this point. In fact, the things I had to do got more and more intense. He would also get me to call him a she and dress up all girly. I have no problem with this, people can be who they want to be. But it's not someone I ever saw myself in a relationship with, and if I ever wanted to express myself in any boyish manner he would get majorly upset with me. Why was it okay one way and not the other? My colleagues would ask what was wrong as I would cry at work from time to time. I was just being selfish. He needed my help to not get ill, so I had to these things whether I liked them or not. I didn't say anything. I had mentioned small things in the past and he would get upset with me as I was making out he was a bad person and I was hurting him. I didn't want to that. That was the last thing I wanted. Since we moved, my mood had been rapidly decreased. I started self-harming again, turning to alcohol to get through a lot of the days. Things started changing finally last year, 2020. June was the last I had heard from his friends. The first had previously passed in some casualty. The second friend, who I had been told was a spirit that resided in his body who had been able to tell me all his health issues when they occurred, just decided it was time to disappear. August the 1st had been round a colleague's house for a small party. I had drunk way too much. I came home and had tried to end myself. We ended up with the paramedics out. I hadn't managed to do anything to myself and they referred me for further help. Since then I have been put on medication and finally found the strength to open up to friends and family. Even some of my friends at work. I've even managed to confront him about a lot of things. He has lied to me so much. Both the friends that used messaged me, telling me to carry on with his needs and pressuring me, telling me I was selfish and ungrateful. They had both been him. He knew how much I had struggled and he, I guess, just didn't care. All those things that were coming through the post, bondage, dresses, expensive figures, that's where all my money from my jobs had gone. I thought I was helping with bills, but I was funding his fetish. I can't say for certain if any of his health issues are true or not, but I can say he hasn't been nearly as ill as he used to be since this all came up. He's now since promised he's going to sort out help, and that he's going to do his best to change. I really want to give him the chance, but I really can't find it in me to trust him, let alone see him in the same way. The entire relationship has been a lie. This has all been happening since the start. I feel like such an idiot. I knew things never added up for a while, but when I was receiving messages "do this or he will die. Don't leave or he will commit suicide," it wasn't a risk I wanted to take. I am still not convinced he isn't lying to me now though. He guilted me into signing up for a mortgage a few months ago, which at the very last minute friends convinced me to back out of. So now there's a cancellation fee that needs to be paid. He kept going on about how stressed he is that he can't pay this fee and we're going to be in big trouble if it continues. Well, the other day he turned round and said that he had had a savings account in the side with £1,000 in and had already paid off half of the fee. So I guess where I am now is, have I just been a selfish asshole this entire time? Should I give this another chance? Am I just being paranoid? Of course all my friends and family have said get out, but I don't want to just give up on a relationship, but I'm also asking, was there a relationship to start with? I've been told what I've been through is manipulative and borderline abusive. But if he does just have some problems he needs to work through, wouldn't it be cruel for me to leave? I could go on and on about further little things that got to me over the years, but I don't want to rant on too much. Lol, I'm sorry this is already so long. So I guess I'm just wondering if I can get some opinions, if that's okay? Thank you. And #X200B. Edit. Thank you for all those that have shared their thoughts. I'm sorry if it seemed I was asking a stupid question. I just didn't want to give up on something that could be better, and was worried that close friends and family would just be giving me a biased opinion. I think I know what I have to do now. Also, I added a too long did not read. As some people said it was too long, haha. I think that summary basically screams it now though. Thank you all once again. Listen to your family and friends. Get out. This doesn't sound like a safe person at all. Run. He has been manipulating you since day one, and a lot of Watha has done is abuse. If you go back, things will only get worse. He will do more to make sure you don't leave. OMG yes. I only read the first 1/3 of this, but you should have left him years ago. When you're asking Reddit if you should go, that usually means you should have gone a while ago. Plus he sounds like an abusive ass. He threw out your favorite plushie and then bought a bunch of new ones to fill your bed and forced you to interact with them. He's not just abusive. He's a special kind of not okay. He is manipulative and abusive. Please don't marry him op. Please get out as soon as you can. You don't deserve this, and I don't want you to hurt yourself because of the mental abuse he's put you through. It won't get better, and I'm so sorry you're dealing with this. Hey op, I want you to read your post as if I had written it. What advice would you give me? You're worth starting over. The time you spent with him wasn't wasted, you've learned lots. You will know what to look for in a future partner. This is an incredibly toxic relationship. He will promise the moon to keep you by his side, but it's just more manipulation. He will never change. The dude has chipped away at your self-esteem for so long that you are genuinely questioning if it's cruel to leave him after he's abused you for years. Girl, you know what you need to do now. If you're looking for permission, then here it is. Run, run, run the fuck away this man. You deserve so much more from a life partner. Don't waste another moment with this creep. He's stolen enough of your precious time. None of this was borderline abuse. Every single second of this relationship has been full-on intentional abuse. The very best thing you could possibly do is run as far away as possible, as fast as you can. Inventing pretend people specifically to manipulate you into doing his bidding is so far beyond the pale. Like in psychotic territory. I'm basically speechless. Like, who does that? Insane people, that's who. I legitimately fear for your life right now. Please get as far away from this individual as you can. You are in danger. This person invents pretend people to manipulate you. He doesn't have a real grasp on reality. You're in danger. If you or someone you know is contemplating suicide, please reach out. You can find help at a national suicide prevention lifeline. USA. 18,002,738,255 U.S. Crisis Text Line. 741,741 Text Home. United Kingdom. 116,123. Trans Lifeline. 877-565-8860. Others. I'm in love with my married best friend. Honestly, I just wanted to tell someone something as I've had these feelings bottled for far too long without many to talk to about it. I don't want to give away personal information, so I'll be obscure for the sake of privacy. Background. Years ago, summer of 2014. I was 16 at the time. I made a friend, 17 at the time, during a large, religious event that lasted about a week. I was very shy and awkward when we met, but we soon became very good friends. Once the event had ended and we had gotten back to our homes, I asked her on a date. It was very fun. She's the most beautiful woman, inside and out, I had ever met, and still believe that. The first date went very well, so we decided to go on a second. Same as the last, much fun was had. Very formal as well, no kissing or anything. Just a good time. Shortly after our second date, she had to move to one of her relatives' home states away. I was very bummed, but we still keep in contact with one another to this day. She is my best friend after all. Obviously, with her being so far, I couldn't expect for us to be exclusive, so I let her know that I didn't expect her to do so. She was very sad as well, as she later revealed she would have wanted to stay with me, long term, if she didn't move. Years go by and she marries her boyfriend, whose wedding I couldn't attend because of financials and work. Even so, I was very happy for her, and they are very happy. It's been a couple years since they married, and since then I've had 2 girlfriends. These relationships weren't bad, but I constantly found myself comparing them to my best friend. With their attitudes, mannerisms, the whole 9 yards. I broke up with both of them because I wasn't happy, I was lonely. I wanted her, my best friend. I am 23 currently and they've been married over 2 years. Again, privacy, I don't want to be exact. I cannot stop putting her first. Even when I was with my exes, I still put my best friend first. She is my top priority and it kills me. She is happy with her husband and I do not want to ruin that for her ever. Her husband is also my friend, we talk weekly. I love him very much, solid dude. But it eats me. I am in love with her and I can't ever tell her for fear of losing her friendship or ruining what happiness she has with her husband. We talk every day, unless responsibilities and such get in the way obviously. We're both adults. Regardless, we tell each other everything. Sometimes I even get the courage to tell her how I felt just to delete the text or tell her something else if we're on the phone. I can't tell her. I just can't. And it kills me. Because I'm in love with a married woman. She's the most beautiful woman I have ever met. We connect so well emotionally. We are always happy and sad for one another. We support each other in anything and everything. I would do anything for her if she asked me and it was within my power. But I'll never hold her and tell her I love her. We do say I love you but it's very different. I'll never be able to sleep with her next to me. I'll never kiss her. I want to make her breakfast before she goes to work. I want to give her massages when she comes home. When she sends me pictures of her smiling, I absolutely melt. I wish I could go shopping with her and help her pick out a dress for church, or a party or something. I'd give anything to be that man. I feel very stupid saying all of this shit, but it's how I feel and I really just want someone out there to know this. I'm going to be very blunt. You've probably spent a long time imagining how perfect she is and how great your relationship would be. But this is all your imagination. I'm sorry, you must be hurting. I don't think pinning over this person is helping you. And I think you need to put space between you and her. I'm so sorry. I can only imagine how much this hurts. But you have to go no contact. Give yourself a chance to heal and eventually find someone equally as beautiful inside and out. Set fire to the relationship. Cut all contact for a long time. Be depressed. Work through your feelings. Find other positive people. Find new interests. New life will begin again after it's all been burnt away. Bro, you missed your shot a while ago. It sounds like you need to move on. There is nothing but pain for you here. Move on. You need to cut all contact and move on. If you tell her, you may ruin all of your lives. Listen to the podcast Married with a Crush by Dr. Lisa Marie Bobby. The ethereal relationship you've created in your mind is most likely too good to be true, and I think you'd find that confessing your feelings would do more harm than good. Creating intentional space between you two is probably the best thing to do. What's meant to be is meant to be. In the meantime, try to move on. I know it's hard, but distracting yourself with other, consenting, obviously, women can lead you down a path of love you never thought existed. Good luck, my friend. It's okay, my man, breathe. It's good to express these emotions, and even better, you didn't act on anything. But you realize, you gotta move on because this ship has sailed. Don't try to compare women to her. Just try to like and love another woman for just being them. Try to connect with someone else and have the same experiences just with another woman. You've got to start backing off. In your heart, you're still in the early stages of a relationship with a teenage girl. Step 1. Stop talking to her every day. My girlfriend tried to kill herself when I told her I didn't think we should be together anymore. We're both in our late 20s, together for 15 months. We have recently moved across the world to another country together. I came out of a 5-year relationship 3 months before we started dating. I had planned to take some time to myself to work on my relationship with myself, but I met my current girlfriend and we really hit it off. A few months into our relationship, I realized that I was in a serious relationship again, and felt like it probably wasn't the best thing for me, as I felt I had lots of issues to work through and that would be better done as a single man. However, I was in love and decided to try to work through my stuff whilst staying in this relationship. We moved country together and I have realized that this relationship is quite intense. She has issues too that she is trying to work through, and ours is a very passionate relationship that can be volatile on occasion. She is usually very pleasant but has a propensity for violence. She smashed a painting she had made for my birthday last October when we were having an argument. Then she smashed a mirror in a hotel we were staying in 3 months ago during another argument. We were talking the other day and I told her I wasn't sure I wanted to have kids. She was very upset and visibly angry. Later on she was asking me if there was something else going on. I told her I'd talk to her in the morning, but she wanted to know then. So I told her I didn't think we should be together. She completely lost it. She ran down the stairs and started hitting herself with the metal poker from the fire. I tried to grab it off her, but she kicked me away and smashed it against her head. Then she tried to swallow a load of medication. She managed 3 of them before I stopped her. Then she tried to jump out the upstairs window. I had to physically drag her back, in which took about 10 minutes. She grabbed the poker again and I had to try to restrain her with one hand while Googling the emergency number in this country with the other. I managed to call the police and they arrived 20 minutes later. They talked to us separately. She agreed to go to the mental health unit for a check-up, but only if I drove her. We did this and she had a chat with them. They gave good advice. We went home and they checked back in with her the following day. I absolutely traumatized by this. It was one of the scariest experience of my life. I genuinely thought she was going to kill herself, but she maintains that she just wanted to hurt herself. She is trying to downplay the whole thing, but I am beside myself with grief. She told me during the ordeal that if we break up she will kill herself. I feel like she has a gun to my head. She is now asking if we can go to counseling and try to work through this. I told her I'd think about it, but I think I want out of this relationship. I am half afraid of her and think that this could potentially happen again. I don't know what to do. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Too long did not read. I tried to break up with my girlfriend and she tried to kill herself, which resulted in me calling the police and a trip to the mental health unit. What should I do going forward? Cut off all contact. This is an abuse tactic to get you to stay. Wow, that's really scary. At the end of the day, if you want out of the relationship, then leave. What's the alternative? Stay with her out of fear for the rest of your life? Maybe talk to her close friends, parents to make sure they keep a close eye on her. It's unhealthy for her to have that kind of reaction. It seems like it's extremely codependent and she's trying to control you through harming herself. The fact she has violent outbursts that result in breaking property is a red flag. Is she going to hurt you next? Stuff like that escalates. You should pack a bag and leave. This is abuse. Do not have children with this woman. Just pack up and go whilst she's not there. Without an audience she is less likely to have a meltdown and actually hurt herself by accident. Do this for her safety and well-being more than yours. By staying this time you enabled her behavior. It worked, so now she has learned how to stop you leaving and will know to do it again. Only by her actions failing and having you leave will you prevent this happening again. Otherwise things will escalate each time till her life is actually at risk. This an emotionally manipulative thing that she did, and you need to get as far away from her as you can. You already wanted to break up with her and I think you need to do so even more now. If you really want to, maybe take her back when she is reformed or something. But she needs to work on loving herself before she can love you. And cut out threatening self-harm if she wants to ever have a healthy relationship again with anyone. Just walk away, man, before it's too late. This would be an absolute end game for me. I wouldn't have anything to do with her. She won't get help to address the obvious problems she has, and you don't need to be in a relationship where you are subjected to violence and trauma. Leave now before she messed you up. She needs to go home. Can you call her parents? This isn't a DIY situation. My father, 45M, and I, 21F, caused a scene at Cracker Barrel. My father has always been a little rougher around the edges. Ex-con, blue-collar, construction kinda guy. We had a rough start, but my father has completely turned his life around and we have been on good terms since I was 9 years old. He was always there for me, supportive, and him and my mother co-parented extremely amicably after the divorce. I am very proud of him. We were out to breakfast a few days ago with my stepmom, Kim. I was discussing how my boyfriend was having difficulties at work with an aggressive coworker who happened to be a woman. My father took this opportunity to say that he would never want to hire a woman to work with a group of guys, because they're too emotional and change the whole dynamic. I thought that this was a very strange thing to say in front of his wife and daughter, both who are career-oriented women. I pointed out that his exact mentally is one of the reasons women have trouble advancing in the workplace. He immediately got defensive, but I'll be honest, he definitely hit a button with me. My stepmother hopped in and said that she noticed that my father grouping women into these generalization was a common pattern with him. I pushed. I asked him, "Do you think Kim would be too emotional for an all-male work dynamic? What about me? What about Lily, my mom?" At this point, the table had gotten heated. It's a bit blurry to me at this point because it all happened so fast, but my father stood up and walked away. At this point I had started tearing up in my frustration. Kim and I confided in each other briefly before he came back to the table. He told me that he wasn't going to be talked to like this. That he was leaving. He slapped a $20 on the table. I was definitely heated at this point. I don't remember who started it, but it exploded into fuck yous and fuck offs until they both left. The interaction has left me with a weight in my stomach for the past few days. My dad had texted me a couple hours after the fact and apologized for cursing me out and leaving me at the restaurant without a ride. He pointed out that his behavior was unacceptable. I responded to this for also apologizing for cursing. We both came to the agreement that we would talk once everyone cooled down. Kim spoke to me later that day and told me she was so upset she left me at the restaurant, that she should have stayed with me to make sure I got home safe. I forgave her and told her it had all happened so fast, and that I felt bad for not keeping my composure and putting her in the middle. When it comes time, how do I articulate to my father that his views he shared with me are not okay? Every time I try and put together the words it feels like I am just far too close to this situation. Any input would be very much appreciated. Please point out to your father that he thinks women are too emotional, but that he's the one that got so pissed off that he abandoned his daughter at a restaurant without a ride after telling her to fuck off. Women, too emotional? Lol. Out of love, I'd push his buttons in a loving way. Tell him in a macho-sounding way, "Yo pops, that was pretty emotional." All that yelling and storming up. Pretty reality TV stuff right there. Why are men so emotional? Nothing wrong with it, but when I start my own business, I'd be hesitant about hiring men. They're just too emotional. You know what I mean? I joke like this with my mom all the time cause she's more like a sister. Remember first that, no matter how much you may disagree with someone, to go slowly and breathe. A heated discussion is not the same as heated argument. Also, as rough as it is, any screaming is likely to validate his views more, something emotional women. Lastly, it's always okay to walk away. Hoping for the best. You and your father should agree not to discuss the topic. He's not going to change at this point. Many of us have to cherish the good qualities in our parents while ignoring their faults. Maybe write it in an email, letter? That way you can articulate how you think and feel without the temptation of saying something quickly that might be unjust or flippant. I'm totally on your side in this, but saying it to someone like your dad who probably takes criticism as a personal attack, invitation to fight isn't productive or safe. It sounds like he's willing to hear you out. But if the two of you can't see eye to eye on it in text form, it may be best to agree to not mention it. It's strange that some people don't see male anger as an emotion. We live in a world where most of the violence is done by men, yet somehow women are the emotional ones because they don't fold up all of their emotions into one explosive one. And then women are blamed like they are supposed to act as external out-of-body emotional regulators for men. Your dad was being sexist. Don't be intimidated by his anger. Put your safety first, but keep calling him out on his remarks with the emotional control he clearly doesn't have. You need to calm the fuck down. Geez. Nothing you can do to change his views, like others have said, just don't talk about it. My mom and her parents can't even talk politics anymore because of this.